Looking back at the past decade, my early 20s, I now realize that a lot of my decisions in my early 20s were made on autopilot. A lot of the major life decisions, small and big, were just kind of impulsive, chaotic, and random. And I did make some good decisions, like getting a STEM degree, kind of committing to that idea. That definitely helped me a lot and provided a foundation that I can fall back on for financial stability and stuff like that. But by and large, I did not have a grand vision for my life. And that all kind of changed when I first started working my entry-level job post-graduating. I remember showing up to my first day at work, high cortisol, kind of stressing, not knowing how the corporate world will treat me. Got my button up on. My boss showed me the building. My coworkers were introduced. Then I was shown my cubicle. Right across from me, there was another lady that was starting the same day. She was this short, bubbly Chinese lady. She was kind of funny, had a heavy accent. But we started talking because we kind of bonded over the fact that we're both starting at the same day. She was, I want to say, a couple decades older than me and was a lot further along in her career. But we were both newbies as far as being new to that job place. And what I remember happening is we would just do like regular coworker small talk. And I think maybe a month into working with her, one morning she asked me, "Hey Alex, so what is your 5-year plan?" And I kind of shrugged it off. I was like, 5-year plan? Well, I want to get my license. I want to get some more work experience, blah, blah, blah. And she just kind of like smiled at me mysteriously and just kind of nodded her head. And she was kind of wanting to hear more, but I did not really have anything more to say. And then I realized, hey, I don't have a 5-year plan. I don't have a 10-year plan. I don't have a plan at all. And so days would pass, and the following week she would hit me with the same question. She would say, "Alex, what's your 5-year plan?" And at that point it was getting annoying and almost getting under my skin. Like, lady, like, what is it to you? Like, it doesn't matter. Like, I already told you I'm going to get my license and get job work experience and then reassess then. But she kept persisting and kind of bothering me with that question to a point where she finally pulled out a piece of paper and she drew a point A and point B. Then she drew a straight line from point A directly to point B. And then she drew a wiggly line, kind of meandering all over the page and then kind of landing close to B, but not even at B. She said, "This is what happens when you don't have a 5-year plan. You don't know where you're going." And then it hit me. And then I finally understood what she was trying to get at is you need to have a plan. And I think she saw my youthfulness and excitement about life, but she just wanted to hit me with some good advice and I wasn't getting it. And there's a good quote by Seneca that goes something along the lines of, "To a man that does not know to which port he sails, no wind is favorable." That's true about our life. Sometimes we have pretty good tactical thinking, so we could think our way out of getting out of problems, right? Once we find ourselves in a pickle, you can think your way through and like problem solve, but it's largely a reactive way of living. You react to the life as it happens to you. A proactive approach would be to adapt a strategic mindset where you do have this longer arc, this bigger vision for your life. You know where you want to end up in 5 years and 10 years. You know what kind of man you want to become, what kind of husband you want to become, what kind of business owner or employee you want to become. And then you start making actionable steps in that direction. You start acting as a person who's already there. You start dressing like a person who already got there. And I realized this pretty late in my life, but when I did, it really started opening up a lot of doors. And, it's not easy to execute on your big mission because it's super intimidating. When you set up a grand dream or a goal, most of the time you just end up procrastinating because it's so intimidating, it's so big, and you start thinking small and kind of resort back to your tactical problem solving. The way to tackle the larger issues in terms of strategic thinking is to basically break down your goal into measurable incremental steps and then assign a timeline to every incremental step. And those incremental steps, they need to be doable, but just outside of your comfort zone. They have to be measurable. And a lot of people understand that, but they're not doing that because to assign a metric for success also means that you're assigning a metric for failure. And they would rather keep their goals vague And they would rather keep them just dreams instead of goals, because as soon as you assigned measurable metrics and timeline to your goals, they stop being dreams. But what that also means is that there's a clear criteria for failure at that point. So if you didn't hit that dollar amount in your bank by the given date, or you did not achieve what you set out to do, you now know that you failed. And I remember listening to a Lex Friedman podcast, and he kind of summed it up well when he talked about a fighter preparing for a boot camp, right? When a fighter gets ready for a boot camp, what happens if that fighter gives it his all? If he really dials in his nutrition, his sleep, his sparring partners, he's just tip-top shape, he goes to fight, gives it his all during the fight, and still loses. What does that say about him? What does it say about his ability to continue in the sport? What does it do to his championship mindset? It's a lot easier to leave an excuse in your back pocket and say, well, if only I just slept better, or if only I got an advance notice so I can go through my full boot camp. A lot of people want to leave that little room, leave the door open to an excuse. They don't want to assign metrics to their dreams. They don't want to distill their dreams into goals, because doing so will put onus on the failure directly at them. They would rather point the finger at somebody else and become a cynic and complain about the economy or about the world, geopolitical situation, but they're not willing to look in the mirror and identify the real root cause of their failure. And so this year, man, you have a choice. You can choose to be a cynic that just complains and whines and looks for an excuse, or you can scoop your nuts and take responsibility. Take responsibility for yourself, for your future self, for your family, for the people that depend on you, and really try to understand what do you want to achieve? Who do you want to become? And a lot of people don't want to admit it, that the fact that they do want success, the fact that they do want power and becoming a better version of yourself, because to admit it, it almost sounds like, to say that you want power is almost like a dirty thing to say, because it just gives you the ick in a way. But if you think about it, people always say about like, hey, power, absolute power corrupts absolutely, or power corrupts absolutely. But powerlessness corrupts even more. And if you met a real like abuser or a bully or a wife beater, these people are powerless, and they show the worst kind of side of human nature. They have these emotional outbursts led to that state by their powerlessness. So think carefully about who do you want to become and where you want your life to be. Adapt a long-term thinking, adapt strategic mindset to where you can honestly assess where you are right now, and don't be scared to dream big and set a grand vision for your future. Once you have done that, set some measurable steps on how you're going to get there. Once you have done that, breaking down into incremental steps, assign milestones, establish a firm timeline, and then start striving day by day, hour by hour. You know, if you want to write this stuff down, write it down, put it somewhere, put it in a notebook, make it real, make it actionable, and then carry across with dignity. You know, every day will bring an obstacle. There's going to be difficulties, and you just persevere through those difficulties day by day. You just have to make these goals realistic and actionable. And from there, anything is possible, really. So don't be a cynic. Don't be a person who's looking for excuses. Take ownership of your life. Take ownership of your future. Start thinking strategically and not tactically. Be ready to confront the long arc of your life as you want it to look like, and get after it day by day. Peace.